Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hello and welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Mac 6 Conscious Workspace in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people. I am ecstatic today to be with the leaders with the Shield Company and learn more about this fascinating group of people and the way in which they serve our community, their clients, and their team. Starting off with Shaun Brennan, who is one of the partners, and Beau Martin, also a partner, and Taylor Rosales, who is a sales team leader and the gentleman responsible for our opportunity today. So thanks for all of you for being here today.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. So Taylor, let's start with you because your dad, Joseph Rosales, and I had a chance to meet. Mm-hmm. I can't remember, maybe it was through LinkedIn, but we've had him on a couple of times. And when I said, hey, who would you like to invite, like I did with you when we were connecting, and he thought it might be wise to have the Shield Company on today, he mentioned two businesswomen that I know extremely well, Tisha Pelletier and Kathy Droz. So it was kind of funny that your dad and I had not met previously, but since then we've become buddies, and I've had a chance to be on his podcast as well. So shout out to Joseph, and a great thank you for saying you guys ought to be on today. So I would love to hear the story about the Shield Company. Any one of you can start for me. How did it come together? What's your beginning? And then we'll talk a little bit more, of course, about the community that you serve and what's so unique about you.
Okay, Shaun gave me the finger point. So, so the Shield Company, Doug and Greg are the founders. So they worked for several other pest control companies and started up also with Gaines McCulloch, and they've been crushing it for years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but over 15 years. And then they give you the opportunity to partner with them, which is what Shaun and I did. And Taylor is working towards that goal, which he'll probably hit this summer, which is exciting. So I partnered with them. My story is I went to Guatemala for 2 years on a mission for our church. I came back knowing that I like to help people and knowing that I was extremely grateful to live in America. So with that in mind, I figured I'd pursue the medical field. But then I found out chemistry was absolutely brutal, and I was enjoying business classes more. So I kind of went that route. And then one of my mission buddies in Guatemala hit me up and said, yo, I'm going to go sell pest control door to door in Arizona. And I said, isn't Arizona like super hot over the summer?
And door to door?
Exactly. And door to door, which I had done in Guatemala. So I was like, okay, I could handle that part, but I didn't know how to sell anything. Like we were doing service and giving away Bibles and stuff, but not selling. So I figured, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. And it totally changed my life. Like I sucked at first. I didn't sell anything for 2 weeks, but he actually said to me, like, maybe this isn't for you. And I realized that was my trigger. Like, if you're selling, I'm going to sell. So I kind of studied a lot harder and then figured it out. And once I figured it out, I took off and loved it. And I remember driving back home that summer just feeling like I could do anything. So it kind of changed the game for me. And then I recruited a lot of buddies from Guatemala, as well as some people I met at BYU. I ended up partnering with EcoShield. We opened Orange County, and Shaun came out his first summer. He's very confident, if you haven't noticed already, so he absolutely crushed it. And then he ended up partnering, and we opened Dallas. So that's where I'm at now with the Shield Company, and it's an absolute blast getting to work with your friends and just seeing the growth in guys like Taylor and Shaun and some of my best buddies.
And I just got to point out, it's still chemistry. It's not medicine, exactly. But it's still chemistry, right?
It is a language for sure.
Yeah, so fascinating. This is a pest control company.
Yeah, it started out that way, I believe, just, building a business. And then as the years gone by, seeing people like myself and Taylor and so on change their lives, it became way more than that. And now it's just about building leaders, networking, and planning for the future. So
I told you guys in the green room as we were meeting for the first time, I really got jazzed when I read your company description because it spoke very little about, pest control but all about how you're being of service to others and helping leaders grow. I love that. Now, give me the timeline, though. I think I'm familiar with Taylor's timeline, and I'm excited to hear that your trajectory is faster than I think you originally anticipated for opening your own. But how long has the Shield Company been around?
2007 is when they started.
Okay, very good.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you came on board.
In 2000, my first summer was with another company in
Okay.
2012, 2013. I sold with them 13, 14.
Yeah.
And then 15, I partnered with the Shield company.
And shout out to the founders for seeing this as a viable model to lift people up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. They're all about growth, and which is cool because there's a lot of companies that are more kind of like we made it and we're chilling. So it just kind of is a dead culture where we're all about growth and always looking to grow. So it's exciting. It gets you excited to wake up in the morning and see what's going to happen. So
Yeah. And Shaun,
Yeah.
tell me your story, your background a little bit.
I've always kind of been in sales my whole life,
Oh, that's
from
right.
retail to gym sales. I did cold calling, and then I was promoted to personal trainer, fitness manager, and I would physically go up to people in the gym and pitch them $1,000 packages in personal training. I mean, it's tough, especially trying to tell someone they're doing something incorrect in a positive way. So I ended up meeting my ex-girlfriend at the time, and she kind of blew my mind with the whole fitness thing. So I went back to school at Arizona at 23. That's where I met my college roommates who were doing this. Beau, I know he was one of the managers for my roommates. And I saw the money they were making. I saw how much fun it was. But like Beau mentioned with the heat, it's tough.
Yeah.
So I said no my first year. That was 2014. Then Beau opened up Orange County, which is where I'm from. I'm from Ventura County, so it's like about an hour and a half away. So I said, I'll give it a shot. Worst case scenario, I'll go back home to mom and dad for the summer, and I'll be all right. So I went and tried it. I was actually really good at it right away. It didn't take me 2 weeks like Beau to make a sale. I started selling right away. But after about 2 weeks, I had paid off my credit card debt. I had borrowed some money from my mom, paid her back, paid my roommate back. And it kind of just changed the whole game for me. I ended up making what I made over the summer, and 2 or 3 times what I made previous to that. So I quit, went home. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. This isn't for me after all.
No, I went back and told everybody about it. And then now I feel like you're doing people a disservice if you don't, because the way it changed my life and all these reps that I've trained in the future, it's insane to not tell people about this thing. So at the end of the day, we're selling pest control, but it's much more than that. You're learning how to sell yourself every single day. You're talking to 10,000 people over a summer. And to be able to have that many first impressions, you get really good at selling yourself, which is a super important quality for the future of whatever you do.
Oh, for sure.
So 3 years later, in 2018, I hit partnership. And to think of a company that you can start as a rookie, a greenie, and then 3 years later, you're an equity partner. It's insane. So it's just all sales motivated, revenue driven. And as soon as you hit your markers and goals, you're promoted. So that was the biggest thing for me working in the gym industry and sales. You always have that ceiling. You always have a cap commission or something like that. And with this one, there is no cap. We just had a rep that I trained personally along with my business partner, John. He just broke the industry record. He did $1 million in sold revenue in one summer in pest control. It's kind of insane to think about. So the growth over the last 5-6 years I've been doing this is insane. But now we're third summer going into Dallas, and I've trained probably over 500 reps now and made one of my best friends a business partner. And it's just been an amazing journey to do this with people you love to work with and your friends.
Oh my gosh. You have all day? We can, because I need to learn sales from all of you. We'll talk about that in a few moments, but I want to make sure that Taylor has an opportunity to introduce yourself as well. And what's your story with ASU, I think, right? WP Carey. And then how did you land here?
Yeah, totally. So I grew up in New Jersey, kind of a small rural town, and pretty much my passion was sports. So the plan was to go to Arizona State. I played lacrosse there my first year. Plan was to be in the sports business agency, marketing somewhere, and I had pretty much a one-track mind to get an internship in that field. But in February of that year, Shaun, Beau, a couple of their partners came into my fraternity's chapter room, kind of pitched us on why door-to-door sales is beneficial for kids our age. And pretty much that was kind of the opposite of what you're supposed to do in business school, get an internship, go that route. But growing up as an only child, I think there's a false stereotype that kind of you're born with a silver spoon. So I kind of had that chip on my shoulder to kind of prove that stereotype wrong. So I took this job just to kind of just swim against the current, just to bet on myself because a lot of people spoke out against it and kind of had me get in my doubts. And I also had the first couple weeks I was struggling as well, just because of lack of preparation or zero sales experience or something like that. But it was something that Beau kind of said in a meeting that if you're going to quit this, then what else that is harder are you going to quit in the future? So that kind of stuck in my mind, and that chip in my shoulder just kind of stayed constant with me to never ever rely on parents for money or anything of that sort. So that's what kind of kept me persevering through that first year to ultimately have a successful summer. And then again, it's if you're not picking up on the culture, if you're not picking up on the fast track growth to success and leadership and just personal development, then you're almost blind because the system that we're input in is pretty much unbeknownst to a lot of the business world. So it's very easy to see the black and the clear cut path to success here. So it was easy for me. I like to just turn off my brain and just do what I'm told to do, what the people before me have done and trailblaze the path. So it's very easy for me to just follow the path that's been laid out for me. So that's what keeps me ticking.
And your professional goal, your personal goal, I think I remember reading like five years to partnership. Is that right?
Right.
But as you just shared, that's happening faster, or is that on target?
Yeah, I'm on track to get it within 4 years.
Yeah.
So we're chugging toward it.
So good.
Yeah.
And he was right there this year.
Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
Fascinating. So, oh my goodness. Sales, we're all selling all the time, aren't we? I mean, even when it's door to door and offering an opportunity for somebody to come to know Jesus Christ and offering the Bible and that sort of thing, it really is still sales, right? I mean, even though it's of service, I personally, as you described, could better do that door to door if in my heart I knew that was really to help someone. But the moment that I put the sales helmet on, even in ownership with Business RadioX, or when I'm selling high dollar coaching packages, not physical fitness, but the mindset coaching, there's a part of me that wants to die inside because I make sales this bad, gnarly, crazy thing. I don't think I'm unique, right? Do you find that people show up and they're like, "Oh man, I want to do this," but then you teach them and something gets in their way from doing it, at least for the first couple of weeks? Am I alone in sharing that story, or do you find that that's common?
I think it's funny you say that because everybody loves to buy, but everyone also hates to be sold. So
Yes.
I think the key is not putting on the sales helmet. Once you go sales mode, and we see it all the time with rookies, like you'll be carrying on a conversation with them in between doors, and then they knock the door and they go into this like robotic sales voice. So if you can just get them to continue that tonality of how they're talking to you about their favorite sports team on the doors, that's when they make that switch and they take off. So we train a lot on, because really what you say, this blew my mind when I got into sales, that only 7% of communication is what you say. The remaining 93% is body language and then also tonality. So it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. And the top sales guys just are like having a conversation like we are now. They're not pitching, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, a lot of people they tend to just focus on the sales part of it when it's excuse me, it's more mentality.
Yeah, 97 or 93% mentality and body posturing.
Mm-hmm. And then when you're selling someone, people are almost afraid to do it when they really shouldn't be. I think the reason why they're afraid is it's uncomfortable. And then they get stuck in their comfortability zone.
Mm-hmm.
And sales and this job will push you out of that. It's called a stretch goal, a stretch zone. So you're growing constantly.
How do you get through? I'm assuming you have a handful or plenty of no's going door to door.
Oh yeah.
And some aggressive and some kind. Like I'm the kind of person, if someone comes door to door when they do, and they sometimes do, I'll be kind. But if they push too much, I'll just say, hey, like I'm not interested. You know what I mean? And I know there's other people who open the door and start yelling at you. I mean, I'm making things up, but you never know. I guess the point is, you never know who you're going to receive on the other end of that door knock. And I suppose for me, admittedly, I don't want anybody to not like me. I think that's what happens for me. So do you have those kinds of conversations with your folks?
Yeah,
all the time.
I mean, going off that, you don't know what's going on in their world. So like, if you open the door, if they open the door and they're, a complete jerk, you don't take it personally. You're never going to see them again. You don't know if they're going through a tough time financially, if they're going through, relationship turbulence, anything of that sort. So like getting the no's for, being 3 years in the business, I don't take it personally as well. Going out and selling, it's funny. I was talking to one of my reps the other day, and going out and selling nowadays, it's a bit therapeutic because I get to be by myself in my own element. I have the confidence to know sooner or later I'm going to walk into a sale just because of the skills, the sales skills and knowledge I already have. So the few no's, the few nasty ones, they put the biggest smile on my face.
Oh,
Because I know I'm having a great day. I know the situation I'm in, and I know they can't really knock me off my game.
it's not about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a savage.
Yeah.
Salesmen always get a bad rap, especially car salesmen. I feel bad. Nobody wants to be sold by a car salesman.
And real estate, right? The used car salesman and the real estate. And how nice that we're having this conversation and that door-to-door sales is still alive, it's still effective, and it's still welcomed. If I were needing a pest control service and y'all ended up on my doorstep, I would have that conversation. And there's a lot of other services or products that show up and I'm not interested, but I always wish them well as they leave. But if I have a need, I would absolutely say, well, yeah, tell me more.
On that real quick,
Yeah.
on the not like it's tough for you to get rejected over and over. I think that just takes time. Like at the beginning, it was really hard for me.
For a whole 2 weeks. I laughed when you said that. 2 weeks seems like, I know
not
people who
even.
struggled for years with this piece.
Yeah.
How much
Well,
money did you make during those 2 weeks, Beau?
$0. And so that started to hit me because I was actually dating a girl at the time that I wanted to potentially marry. And we were going through rocky, like I was kind of deciding what I wanted to do because I'd been gone for 2 years. And I was recently back home. And I remember calling my dad like probably a week and a half deep after dealing with that and then getting the 2 weeks of 0 sales and kind of being the laughing stock of the office. And I remember crying to him, like, what should I do? Like, I'm not going to make any money. And he just told me, like, you started the summer, finish it. I think you're going to figure it out and you're going to do well. And so that I just kind of replayed that in my mind. And I started making a few sales. And then I just started getting used to, like, now I'm grateful for those 2 weeks because I got so used to the no's. Like I was stoked on a yes, but you kind of just get used to the no's. Like on a good day now, if you sell 5 people, you're still getting told no 50 times. So when you get used to that, then the sales just kind of come as long as you're putting in the doors.
Yeah, there's a saying, and perhaps you guys have heard it before, some will, some won't. So what next,
Yeah.
right?
Brian Tracy.
Yeah, I do like that saying. I forget it when I'm having to get in sales mode. And I think for me, there has to be a process and a system behind it, right? So building up this particular studio, I'm a licensed partner, so there's more studios than just mine, but I own this particular studio. And we haven't been trained in the sales conversation. And so we're all kind of learning from each other. The company's been around for 10 years, and I've owned the studio for 3 years. I know it would help me if I practiced, rehearsed, and really set into the conversation about what I have to offer, so that I know what it is. I know the value I bring, and I know the offer. But I hear you saying that there's a cadence, there's some rehearsals are necessary, practicing and getting out and doing it, and getting out of your own way is where the magic is. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Like we do a book club book every month. We read 2 new books, and this month is Go for No. So, and it talks about how he hired a sales trainer to come teach his company, and he taught them the most powerful word was yes. And then he had to wait until he left and get up and reteach his people that he was wrong. So he wasted all his money, and he explained to them that the most powerful word is no. Because if you, like in that company, they give an award for who gets the most no's, and this guy gets like a standing ovation for getting the most no's. And the guy who wins the most no's award always is also their top sales guy. So if you're afraid to knock the door, afraid to make the sales call, you're not going to make the sale. But if you get to where you're not scared and you're just calling people because you know your pitch is good, you have put in the work, then you're going to get the yeses. But I think it's just that fear of rejection that we all innately have that keeps us from putting in the right amount of work, which it takes a lot of work to make a lot of sales. It's just how it is.
Yeah. Taylor, a sports analogy comes to mind. Baseball, right? You get up to hit.
Oh, yeah.
And you're striking out, especially the best hitters out there, right? They're striking out more times than then they're knocking it out of the park or even getting on base.
Yeah, if your career average is 300, then you're in the Hall of Fame. So definitely a bit of definitely resonates to this job as well.
Yeah. So where are you headed as a company? Where are you headed professionally, individually? I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but what excites you about whatever's next for you guys?
Honestly, it's extremely scary. I haven't seen companies grow this fast. I mean, Tesla would probably be a good example.
Yeah.
We're not Tesla or anything, but by any means. But like I said before, going from selling door to door and making it about revenue, transitioning that into making it about the employees that come and work with us. So Beau mentioned the book club. That's one thing that we do. I think now we're up to 3 books a month because everyone's just eating it up. When we first started it 3 years ago, it was 1 a month. Now we want more. Wow. So now it's 2, 3 books a month. And I'm sure the average CEO is reading over 50 books a year.
Yep.
So it's kind of insane. So we do the book club. And then after the summer's over, we do a Mdp program. It's a management development program. And what that is you have to hit a certain revenue to be able to qualify for that, as well as be a leader, show leadership qualities. So Taylor, perfect example for him coming in. He's been great. But what we do is we have weekly conference calls, weekly Zoom calls. Some people call daily to talk to their mentors and leaders. And then once a month, we meet up somewhere around the country. Sometimes it's out of the country. And we have a huge conference. And we have multiple guest speakers and then also speakers from within the company that are just killing it in their field. And they come out and they talk to over 200-300 of these 18 to 24-year-old managers and teach them what they did, what they screwed up on, how they can do better than they did. And I think because of that, we're growing in a bunch of different categories that it's not just sales. We do stuff with investment opportunities, how to manage finances, how to plan for the future. We had Navy SEALs come in and speak. We've had professional motivational speakers come in. It's the book club and the Mdp program. And then I'm sure we'll get to this, but it's no fun making all this money if you can't get back to the community. So we do a ton of different charity things that we do. One thing that kind of gives me goosebumps is charity water. Basically, they're providing clean water their goal is to have clean water for everybody in the entire world. So we started that and we donated, I'm not sure how much we donated the first year. I think it was like around 10,000 maybe. And then this last summer after the year was over, we were at one of our Mdp conferences and Gaines, he's the president of the company, he's my mentor. And the reason why I started doing this, he comes out and he goes, hey, $50,000 gets us a well in our name. So let's donate. I'm going to start out with 10 grand. So he throws down 10,000 and we're in that room of 300 people who just came off of a good summer, have money in the bank, and we ended up raising $50,000 in less than 30 minutes.
Wow.
It gives me goosebumps to this day to think about.
He had the fundraiser, the GoToMe up on the screen so you could see the number just raise and raise and raise as everyone was like literally in the same room donating in their money. So.
And they know that they've made that difference.
Yeah. It was
were you there as well?
Yeah. I mean, if you watch, Gaines showed us the kind of hype video for Charity Water, how it got started, I guess. And if you watch that, it's tough to not give a large amount. Because that guy, he was actually a bar promoter and kind of going down a rocky road. And then he woke up one day and just wanted all to stop. And he said he had to go so far in the opposite direction that he would never go back to that lifestyle. And he thought of Charity Water, and he shows you, it's cool when you donate, they have like GPS trackers, you can see it. Yep. It's just awesome to be able to actually see it, because you're always kind of like, is this going to charity? And to be able to see that and then see these kids who are getting all these diseases just because they're drinking absolutely disgusting bacteria infested water.
Yeah, so with the giving back, the Mdp program, the book club, constant training throughout the summer, off the summer, it's crazy to think that an 18-year-old kid straight out of high school with no sales background can come into this job, be relentless with his training and sales for 4 months, 5 months out of the summer, come out with enough money in his bank account to do whatever he wants with, start up a side business or whatever he wants to do. And then potentially, I've seen people hit partnership in 2 years. So you're telling me a 20-year-old could be an equity partner and own a portion of the business? I can't think of another company that can do that.
Yeah. I have 3 kiddos, 26, 24, and 13. My 26-year-old has gravitated towards sales, but for a couple of years was not good at it. And his dad and I both own our own businesses, have for almost all of our kids' lifetime. And so we've been role models for entrepreneurship, hard work ethic, and lean startups, right? Like, we've got to hunker down, everybody. This is, we're going to ride the wave here in tough times. And I watched him struggle, and I wanted to like pull him out and, go do this. You'd be better at this, and go do that. But I think he's like Taylor. He's like, I'm going to prove everybody wrong, and I'm going to stick with it. And now he's working for a company, and he's knocking it out of the park sales wise. And to all of your point, when you introduce yourselves, and even in reading your company bio, sales, learning how to succeed at sales is I think the backbone of whatever you choose to do professionally going forward, and really in life, right? Even in our relationships and our community. I'm a member of Conscious Capitalism Arizona. I don't know if you're familiar with that nonprofit organization. It's worldwide, started by Whole Foods founder, and like the Container Store, some really big name folks, like we're talking about with Charity Water, who, after building these massive companies with massive wealth, continued to be in the spotlight where the media was looking to make them the bad guy, right? Because, capitalism is awful and, down with capitalism kind of conversation. So the organization is all around being a conscious capitalist and involving all stakeholders, the community, the employees, the people that you're serving, your customers, your vendors, everybody wins, right? And the ultimate goal is that we eradicate abject poverty. I want to say by 2030. And it's companies like yours that are going to help see that through. Capitalism is not a bad thing. It's a force for good. When we teach someone how to take care of, offer them the opportunity for clean water and teach them how to maintain that, now they can grow their own food. They can heal their illnesses. They can start, micro businesses, that sort of thing. So your company is definitely a shining example of conscious capitalism.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So you mentioned that the sweet spot for these new team members, these new salespeople, are between 18 and 24, so that college age. And you mentioned, we were introduced, Taylor, to the company when these two showed up in your fraternity. I'm going to call it a sorority, a fraternity. Sorry, maybe you were sitting in the sorority meeting as well because your girlfriend was there.
We haven't tried presenting to sororities, but.
Well, I was gonna ask that. Is the majority of your workforce male, or is it a combination male and female?
Unfortunately, yes, it's pretty male dominated.
We've had a few girls kill it, but it's very few. But they have killed it.
Yeah.
So they can. I think it just, we haven't really tapped into that, but I think we should.
I agree. I'm going to be the first one to tell you. You probably should. And I was just curious, right? Is summer employment, or they could do it year round? What's kind of the...
We have reps kind of do both. It really depends on the individual and their work schedule, what they like doing in their free time. Personally, I love working for 4 or 5 months and just getting it all out of the way, make your annual income. And then I have a wife and a baby girl and a dog. So I love spending time with family. And then through the company, all the incentives, I'm sure with sales, there's tons of incentives thrown out. They send a ton of travel incentives. Just got back from Cancun. We take our rookies the top 10 rookies to Cabo. We take our top overall reps to Hawaii. So in the off season, we're constantly traveling with the company, and it's most of the time it's completely paid for. So through spending time with family, traveling, starting a side business, investments, you have the freedom to do what you want to do. A lot of people in the company, they choose to do all those things, and And I'd say more importantly, invest back into your education and constantly keep on growing.
Yeah, this is a lifestyle. This is
yeah.
right. This is not a job. This is a lifestyle, and it's a very healthy one. Surrounded by people who are like-minded and want to lift you up and succeed and give you the tools to do that. We talked a little bit about Charity Water. I remember reading as well that you do some work with Helen's Hope Chest. I'm not familiar with them. Can one of you speak to that as well?
One of our reps, I actually just found out about it. One of our reps, Michael Montalvo, we call him Monty. He's did a group chat with us. Was this around Thanksgiving? I think it was. And he said, like, tomorrow morning I'm going at 10 a.m. to go pack as much. Oh, no, this is the food. I'm thinking of the food place.
Yeah, Monty did us for Feed My Starving Children.
Yes,
over
Feed My
in
Starving
Mesa.
Children.
Yeah.
Very good.
I was way off on it. There's so many charities.
Yeah, that's great, though. That's great. I had written down and noted that it's Helen's Hope Chest. Can anybody speak to that organization?
Yeah, I can. So it was brought up by Gaines, our president, and what we did is we all knocked doors, right? So I think it was like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. We all met up. We had a ton of people fly in from around the entire nation out here in Phoenix, and we went out and knocked doors. And we were just dressed like we are right now with polos with our symbols on it and a flyer with Helen's Hope Chest. And what they do is we just collected a bunch of toys or anything that people were willing to donate to foster kids. And what they do is it's kind of like military housing. You know how they have their own community, they have their own stores and everything. So Helen's Hope Chest will take all these donations, and kids will go in there and they'll be able to go shopping and pick out clothes and whatever they need for the bathroom, toiletries, or things around the house, games, and they don't have to pay anything when they get to the register.
Oh, so awesome.
So we knocked a ton of doors.
And literally said, is there anything you're not using on this list, kind of a thing? And they run in, they close the door for a minute, run in and go grab it?
No, not necessarily. Like you're saying, people, they don't like to be bothered. They don't like to be bothered. But with our persistence, I always tell people, I was like, don't take my persistence. It's passion, or don't confuse my persistence for passion. So those are just overcoming those objections. It was very similar to selling them the pest control service throughout the summer.
What's the scam? What's the gig? What's the catch?
But we ended up collecting a ton of donations, and we filled, I think it was about 12 feet high by 40 feet long, a full garage full of stuff, and we donated it. And it was just super humbling to be able to do that for
immediately
the kids.
Satisfying. Are they local, Helen's Hope Chest? Do you know if they're local?
Again, like Beau said, it was something brand new to us. We knew it was for a good cause, and Gaines, the president, if he's behind it, we're behind him. So
that's the great thing about EcoShield. Like, all these opportunities to serve and donate are just kind of brought up to us.
And
like
they keep coming.
All we have to do is show up, and we get to help people out, which makes it super easy for us.
So I'm a member of 100 Women Who Care Valley of the Sun. I don't know if you're familiar with that format and that giving circle, but it's worldwide. And I'm starting with a couple of just power partners. Business RadioX will be kind of the hub for 100 businesses who care. And the idea is that if you are a member, and there's no fee to be a member, you just say, hey, I'm going to show up each quarter or each month, depending on how often you do it. As a member, you suggest, like your guys are talking about, hey, I'm aware of Feed My Starving Children or the XYZ, and you get to throw your name in the hat on behalf of a charity that you're going to represent. And if your name is drawn on that particular quarterly gathering, you have to stand up and present for 5 minutes about that charity and kind of plead their case, tell how the money would be spent. Of course, you're working with your representative from that nonprofit to help. I just recently presented for Arizona Industries for the Blind 2 weeks ago. And then 2 other people are drawn out of the hat. They share about that charity. And then the members vote. And whoever has the most votes everyone is expected to and must write a check for $100. So 100 Women Who Care, you can imagine each quarter how much money goes to that charity. It's phenomenal. When we're structuring the business one, we're going to make it more than $100, of course, because we're looking at businesses and corporations and that sort of thing. But it is a phenomenal way for people to give back. Because oftentimes you guys are lucky. You've got people coming to you saying, hey, let's pay attention to this right now. There's a need. Let's do it. Yeah. Let's go out there. Let's rally together. And the satisfaction that you feel from that is great. But there's a lot of people who want to help. They just don't know where.
Yeah.
And so I love this organization. That's why I asked so many questions about Helen's Hope Chest, because I'm not familiar, but that's how I've been learning about so many charities. And of course, we've had several of them here to talk about what they're doing on air as well.
Yeah. There was one that it still hurts right now because of COVID. It was the Esperanza Orphanage, and that's in Rocky Point in Mexico. And we weren't able to go this year because of COVID. And it's really tough because they're kids from, babies. I think their oldest is 18, 19 years old. And they live in this, this like kind of barracks housing area where they're teaching them school. It's basically like a little mini school / living area where they can go and have fun and just kind of get away and be protected. And every year we would go and we'd bring them washer dryers, computers, clothing, toys, just trying to make their living situation and their lives better. And for us not to be able to go this year, it kind of sucks. So I just wanted to mention Esperanza
Shout
Orphanage.
out to them as well.
That was probably the highlight of our trip, always in Puerto Penasco, because it really is in the middle of nowhere out in Mexico. And you're all up in, the partners come with, 4, 5, 6, 7 vans full of toys, and giving them is awesome. And then obviously I didn't have any, sisters or brothers. So like being able to play soccer with them, shoot hoops, light off fireworks, stuff like that, interact with them. And you don't know where these kids have been prior, before this orphanage. So to keep that in mind, it's definitely humbling. And again, it kind of breaks our hearts to not be there. But I know we plan on being there next year.
Yeah, to be of service like that as part of just the fiber of your being. Some of us are born with that. Others, later in life, they realize, I'm empty. I need to find a way to do more. So love that you're sharing that. Tell me what a typical sales day looks like.
So pretty much we'll have our morning meetings every single morning because we like to keep the competitiveness and camaraderie high. So we have our morning meetings at our office. We'll usually have a training, just a quick 20, 30-minute training. And then we'll go out and get some breakfast, fuel up the stomach. And we'll usually get to the neighborhoods around 11 or so. I'll drop my guys off, then I'll go to my neighborhood and I'll get going. That's when the ball starts rolling. We'll usually take a lunch around 2:33 just to kind of reassess what were you getting out there. I saw you already have 3 at lunch. Like, what was working out there? What are you saying that people are loving? Or to the rookie that doesn't have any yet, like, hey, let's role play real quick. We're getting a lot of objections on stuff like that, and then we'll go get back out there around 4. And that's usually the toughest part because the sun's beating down on you. I don't know what it is about Texas, but it seemed like the hottest part of the day is like 6 p.m. But we'll get back out there, and that's what we call prime time, just because everyone's getting back from work. So that's definitely the time of the day you want to get back out there, because that's usually when people are winding down or they're getting back from work. But that's the most exciting time of the day for us because everyone's home. So we'll usually sell till around 8:30, and then go home. Usually, especially in the early months, we'll keep role playing, just because you want to keep getting reps in, keep practicing on certain objections that we're going to get. So we'll get back to the apartments and role play, eat, and then do it all again the next day. So that's why we cram. Seems like a lot, but that's why we cram 4 months of work, a year's worth of earnings into 4 months, because we work our tails off. But it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, to the average person that's used to that 9 to 5 mentality, it's a little kind of crazy to think about. You're able to be super flexible, but when you're out there, it's all you.
Yeah.
It's the stuff between the ears. It's the mentality that you need to stay focused. So going for a 4-hour work break, practicing for another hour for lunch, going for until dark, coming home, practicing again and again, it kind of gets a little monotonous. You're just saying the same thing over and over and over again. So the way that we kind of counteract that is with the culture. It's kind of like dorm style living. You're with the boys, some girls now, but it's a super competitive environment. Incentives are flying, motivation super high. And I mean, if you can imagine, Karen, just being in an office with 60, 70 people like-minded who are extremely motivated. So
I would want some of that.
Yeah. And then I always live by, if you're the smartest person in the room, find another room.
Yes.
I keep trying to be the smartest person in the room, but these guys are so competitive. They push nationwide. They push you. It's really cool.
Fantastic.
And keep in mind, they're all 1099. So we can, like Shaun said, the culture is huge because we can't make them, work a schedule. But it's funny, all the top sales guys are taking like a 30-minute lunch, if a lunch at all. Like Zach Goldbranson, who hit $1 million in revenue. I don't think his phrase is, or his motto is, my stomach's empty during this summer, but then my bank account is full.
I love it.
But then the guys who are like complaining and kind of wishing they were making more, they're taking 2 to 3 hour lunches. So, and then Saturdays also, we give the guys the freedom to get off at 4 if they want. But all the top guys do a full day on Saturday.
Yeah.
So they're coming to the team dinners in their work clothes, and most guys are,
You've already had a
dressed
break.
up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you've mentioned what you do with your time off. I would love to hear from both of you as well. When you've been in the grind for 5 months or approximately out of the year. What are you doing with the other 7 months?
I love to golf. So
Well, you're in a good place for that.
yeah, exactly. Finally, because I was in Utah and I would always get decent, and then just golf's a 365-day-a-year sport. So you got to play a lot to get good. But I also love my family, so it's cool having the freedom to go visit them. And then, like, you make a lot of money in sales, but to get wealth, you got to recruit. So those other 8 months are really important to be recruiting. And just like anything, you have good years recruiting and you have bad years, but you got to constantly do it. So we're always looking to recruit, which recruiting is a blast because we get to go hang out with 18 to 24-year-olds. I like to say it keeps us young. So we're going snowboarding. I try to find guys that like to golf, obviously. Luckily, these guys like to golf. So like Taylor's rookie last year, Shaun, who, did he hit top 10 rookie?
Number 11.
Oh, man. Yeah. Hopefully he's not listening to this. He was a good golfer, so we went golfing with him, and he ended up coming out with us. So I like to golf. Now pickleball, I play our CEOs are really good. So I've been practicing. I play with them every morning. So you have total freedom. Like Shaun said, you literally have no life for those 4 to 5 months, but you're learning a ton. And if you can just keep your eye on the prize, like this is going to be worth it, and I get to live like nobody else for the next 8 months, then it's totally worth it, and it's easy to get through it.
The analogy I thought of with this particular part of our conversation is an actor or a film star, or even an athlete for that matter, who knows they've got to be in the grind for however many months they're working on a film or their TV production or they're playing their season. And it's worth it. And it's everything they do is about that. And then they can retreat and, take a breath and find themselves in a different way again, only to go back into that grind for that next opportunity. But the wealth, the opportunity there financially is like no other. What you guys are describing on behalf of your team and your company. What a beautiful opportunity to not only be with like-minded people, serve a community, be of great service, but also lift you and everybody else around you up financially as well. That's huge.
And just like we were talking about what we do in the off season with just personal development, you mentioned actors and athletes.
They're doing the same
They're
thing.
doing the same thing, but they still have the freedom to, have the time for themselves and their family or whatever they choose to do.
And travel, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Taylor, how about you? What do you do?
Yeah. So, I mean, with a huge sports nerd background, I'm always playing sports, whether it's golf, football with some of the guys, basketball. It's pretty important to keep a pretty consistent schedule just because, again, 4 months, we have the same thing every single day. And it's interesting to see what people do with their time when there is no structure, and the freedom is a great thing. But obviously you don't want to stray off too far. So just keeping a consistent pretty much schedule every single day. So I always get a reading in 2-3 chapters. I'm a pretty slow reader. So it takes a good portion of my day, a good hour to read some pages. But I always try and do that, get to the gym and get some workout and get the cardiovascular system pumping. I usually set aside 3 or 4 hours to take phone calls from my guys, go out and network, try and talk to people, see what they're doing, just because, like Shaun alluded to, I'm forever grateful for the opportunity that's been, bestowed upon me. So if I'm not sharing this with friends and even, people who I've just met, acquaintances, I'm doing them a disservice. So I take it as my moral obligation to always, keep the word out, expand. And, the best part about it is seeing these guys grow, because I was in the same position, not having a high level of communication, not really being aware of how to be successful in this world. So to kind of learn the skills through my first couple of years and now kind of put them on the people that I've recruited and I've trained and I've worked with. That's the best part about this job, just to see guys that are, 2, 3 years below me kind of rise up and pretty much have the skills to where we are, where these guys are at right now. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
And you were a lacrosse coach. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a sport I played in college, or just for 1 year, but ultimately just because I saw lacrosse as a great way to keep in shape. But it's still funny. I still memorize just like being a freshman, and I always keep tabs on people. And I saw these seniors that are graduating, and some of them didn't have jobs. And I put that together with our season goes into May, sometimes June. So if we're playing lacrosse, obviously that's something amazing. But if that's keeping you from, in my mind at the time, I saw that as keeping you from getting an internship, or in this situation, keeping you from selling. I always like to think big picture. So that's ultimately why I walked away after the first year, but I had a blast with the team, and I still, have great buddies that I still have on that team. And then, yeah, to have the credentials to be able to coach a lacrosse team that's on the high school level, that was something I'll never forget either.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the not expectations, but really, is there a personality? What are you looking for in a potential rep? What qualities do they need to have?
I would say, because you'd always think there's like a perfect mold, and we've had stud athletes, former Division I athletes, football players that we think are just the cream of the crop, and they come out and they hit the slightest bit of adversity, and you start to see them crumble, just because a lot of those people, they're studs in high school, they're studs in college, so a large portion of that comes from not getting used to rejection and taking it personally, and then realizing, oh man, I suck at this. Well, I'll find something better. I'm good at. Obviously, those guys can be studs too, but there's no real mold. So I would say just a good work ethic. Be hungry if you have good intentions and you just want to be put into the right system. I would say that type of person that I'm looking for, and just a positive outset, because again, you're dealing with 90-95% no's. So to be able to, after a day of getting 95 no's, still being an upbeat, good attitude. That's my favorite guy. So,
Yeah. And a willingness to learn, of
Mhm,
course, is the
absolutely.
bedrock for all
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
I wish there was a perfect mold for it. I think it's funny because we'll always like kind of not bet, but we'll be like, I bet this guy crushes it. This guy probably is gonna last a couple weeks, but we'll give him a shot. And we're dead wrong most of the time. So there really isn't a mold. I do think if you're kind of in a spot where it's like sink or swim, like for me, I remember feeling that pressure, like you got to make some money. Like it's showtime. Mom and dad aren't paying for anything anymore. So I had to figure it out. Shaun was in a tough spot when he came out. So I think having that pressure to where like maybe mom and dad aren't going to help you out. I think if you're on your own and you have a why, like if you have a family or that motivation and an actual real reason to why you have to figure it out, I think you'll figure it out, because
Yeah.
it's not that hard. Like there's so many people who do well at it. You just have to put in the work. So I think if you have a good why, then you'll do well at this job.
It stole my thunder. I was going to say both of those.
Yeah.
Work ethic and a strong why. I guess just to build on that, quality I look for is maturity. Someone who's respectful.
Mhm.
Reminds me of my parents, who I look up to. If I could see that in a rep, I know that they're going to do well.
Yes.
I could teach them how to sell. You can't teach someone to be respectful.
Right.
You probably could, but it'd be harder.
But yeah, but that's a job you don't need to have.
No.
Let's bring them in
No.
respectful, and let's
Yeah.
help with the rest. So we mentioned, campuses. Where else are you looking for, like how Business RadioX, how can we help you find the next set of great reps coming into the season? Where else do you go to find reps? Or do they come to you? Do they find you on a website or word of mouth?
That's a great question. I haven't really thought about that before.
Reps will like come to us. Like we have a lot of lifestyle videos that we'll constantly post on social media platforms. So you'll get people that come in, but like one of my best friends, Pat Abbott, who absolutely crushes this job. I mean, he's way better than me at it. I played high school basketball against him, and had gotten back from Guatemala, and we hadn't really talked much. All I remember from high school was him like dunking on me a few times. Like we weren't homies at all. Went to different high schools, rivals actually. And after my first summer, I came back to Stevenson Ranch, California, Santa Clarita, where I'm from. and he was delivering pizzas. And he's like a really charismatic, good-looking dude. So I was like, hey, I just made this amount of money. I bet you could do that, if not more. And he's like, you're probably right.
And he did.
And he did. So I think friends, and you kind of can tell who you think would do really well, but like we said, you never know.
Oh, which is cool, right?
Mhm.
Keeps you on your toes and keeps us out of judgment
Right.
and just staying open to,
Yeah.
of course, God's grace and where we're going to be led. Love it.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're kind of new into the whole recruiting aspect because, in my opinion, the company's been new since like 2014, 2015 when Beau came over from a different pest control company. And since that moment is when we've seen this spike in growth. So we're talking over a 5-6 year span where we're progressing with each other.
And figuring it out.
And recruiting is part of that. So
Yeah.
just to kind of think of just my inner circle and where they came from is I was 23 when I went to college, back to college. So a lot of my friends from back home, they had jobs, careers. So that was a tough market to try and recruit into. So luckily I was in Arizona State in a fraternity. So that's how I met Taylor and built the foundation of my team was hitting up all the fraternities out
Yeah.
there. People that are like-minded, like myself. Usually they're athletes too, which
Mhm.
also plays. But now we have this rep, Ethan, and he just does cold calling. He was homeschooled his whole life. So he basically goes through social media, stalks people,
Brilliant. Brilliant.
finds a good
Yeah.
fit,
Mhm.
and just pulls the trigger and sends them a message.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what we were all talking about, and Beau mentioned just being if you don't want to sell or you are afraid to sell, you're not going to sell.
Yeah.
Same thing with recruiting. If you're afraid to reach out and just have a simple conversation with someone, you're never going to recruit anyone.
Yeah, it's still sales. It's still a
Mhm.
conversation
Yeah,
and an
absolutely.
opportunity. You're providing somebody an opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of our
that's the key.
best recruiters too was a high school basketball coach for years, and he had the opportunity of working with all these high school kids, and they fully trust him, obviously. And so he's recruited a ton of those kids who played for him in high school, and he has one of the biggest teams in the whole company. So going back to the cross coaching, you should tap into that.
Yeah.
But
Right.
right now, I'm actually looking into paying somebody to. But that's really good because I don't really know search engine optimization or how to get a lot of people from Indeed and Instagram and Facebook. So I'm thinking about paying somebody to
I have that
send me a
person
guy.
for you.
Do you?
I do. You'll love him. Brett Farmelo with Marketers.
Hmm.
I would love to make that introduction.
That'd be awesome.
I have grown to love this man. He's amazing, and he really knows his stuff. So many times, you're looking for companies who know SEO, and they'll say all the right things,
Mhm.
but then they don't deliver. And that's been a big concern of mine over the years that I've owned these kinds of businesses. So I'll be happy to make that introduction and
Let's
see if it's a
go.
good fit for you. We are just about done with our hour together. I've so enjoyed getting to know each of you. I would love, before we close out the segment, and I think we've talked about it a little bit, but is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners about the Management Development Program?
It's crazy because Beau just got back from Door to Door Con in Utah. And yeah, it's called Management
Door to
Development
Door
Program.
Con. Sorry. I
Mhm.
love that. I didn't mean to interrupt. I
no
apologize.
worries.
Or I did mean to
It's
interrupt. Door to Door Con.
Everybody who does door to
Of
door
course.
from everywhere meets up.
Not
So-
just Shield?
No, actually, very few pest control companies were there. I was shocked at all these random like roofing and window washing. I had no
Yeah.
idea. So
Okay, so sorry. You were just saying that he just got back from Door to Door Con.
But yeah, the program that we're in, there's weekly Zoom calls, monthly meetups. We have a transformation challenge, which, after the summer in September, you have 100 days you take your before photos, and then we have a competition to who can transform their body into the most. There's one for absolute physique and then one for the transformation show. Like that obviously keeps me, working on a consistent basis because I don't want to be the one that, comes in last or anything. We have our book club. Obviously, we have our, philanthropic work. So like that system, Beau was saying that some people pay money to be a part of it. And they pay $1,000 just to be in that type of system, to be on the Zoom calls, to be able to go to these monthly meetings. And we get it for free.
It's the fiber of your being. It's
Yeah.
it's what you do as an organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're not taking advantage of the system that we're in, that goes back to what I was saying, then it'd be foolish to not take advantage of it. So
which huge
Yeah.
props to Gaines because he's like
Yeah.
the mastermind behind that. That's
Yeah.
what keeps him going is trying to develop us.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a couple principles that I've taken over the past 6 years now from Gaines. Is one of them was accountability equals love, and progress equals happiness. So in everything that we do in our lives, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Right.
And that becomes extremely unmotivational for people when they're regressing and they get in this bubble. They might get depressed, and it could trickle on to a ton of other things that are negative on your body. So from day one with the company, you'll be learning not only just sales, but a bunch of different aspects of entrepreneurship, finances, investments,
Yeah.
reading, working on your health, giving back. It's just a constant roll of progression. So keeps everybody happy, keeps everybody love, working with each other.
That's our company mission statement, is to propel you to the next level of your life. So like a lot of guys have used this and then gotten their dream job because
Sure.
selling is everything, like you said, like the dentist, the doctor. The top ones are good salespeople.
For sure.
But it's kind of cool to see how that's kind of transitioned to like us getting more involved into like charities like the clean water. Now we're helping propel those kids, because if you don't have water, that's a necessity before you can do anything. So like seeing them being able to do something with their life is what keeps us here. That feel good feeling beats all the money. Like it doesn't do any good if you're making money and have no one to share it with. So it's been cool to see our company kind of evolve towards helping propel other people outside of our company to the next level of their life as well.
It's conscious capitalism.
Thank you so much for having
Oh
us
my
on
goodness,
your show, Karen.
such a
My
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. To find Shield Company, go to shieldtrain.info for those who might want to become part of the sales team.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, correct.
You can fill out an application there.
Yeah, you can fill out an application. That'll take you through more of the corporate side. So you'll be able to kind of choose which office you like to go to.
Okay.
If you guys are interested in being a part of our team in Dallas, Texas, you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Shaun R. Brennan. It's ShaunRBrennan, Shaun R. Brennan. Go ahead and feel free to message me on there. And
Mine's a little easier. It's 11 B Mart 11, like Kmart. It's 11 B Mart 11.
Good.
What's
plug
yours,
in the
Taylor?
Instagram handles.
Do you have an Instagram
I'll
handle
plug
as
mine
well?
as well.
Can't
Yeah.
leave without yours.
Yeah. Mine's Taylor Rosales. So TaylorRosales.
He wins with the easiest Instagram handle.
Shorter.
Yours is shorter.
No numbers.
I love it. Well, thank you again. It's been truly a pleasure to get to know each of you, and you've given me a lot of opportunity for reflection and insight in my own life as well, and the timing could not be more perfect. You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from Mac 6 Conscious Workspace in Tempe, Arizona, where we build businesses and help connect you with the right people. Some media leans left, some lean right, and we lean business. Until next time, I'm Karen Nowicki. Thanks for listening.